Greetings, my fellow nerds and xenomorphs. It's Nick from Icor Comics here, welcoming you to Sci-Fi Sundays, where we bring you the most iconic and amazing science fiction from around the universe.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Future series of Sci-Fi Sunday, our Marty McFly Monday, part 2, over here. Skipping the ads today. Or on this episode, we'll get the ads on the next one. I do want to say, however, though, if you are doing a project or have a business is starting up, a really small one, or something you want to work on, or a joint project, etc., something you'd like to promote, and we can promote for you, please send us the information or the link, and we'll throw it on our podcast. We'll throw your channel on here, we'll throw your product. If you want me to try your product, you can send it to me. I'll probably try it out, unless it's some crazy makeup or something like that. But I will do it for you. Also, I will be starting a fundraiser soon. Date TBD. But it's coming out really soon. There's going to be 3 prizes. I have a bunch of gift cards over here I'm going to give away. So all the proceeds going to charity. One of our valued charities that I talk about so much. But all the proceeds going to charity, and we have gifts. So you can win a gift card out of it and donate $5-10 and win a $100 gift card, or a $50 gift card, or a bunch of comics. So I'm going to give away a bunch of mystery bags. So if you do like comics, DC, Marvel, we'll give away 3 or 4 mystery bags, and all the proceeds go to charity. I'll try to raise a couple grand for one of our valued charities on the channel. So keep an eye out for that. That will be coming out on our Facebook and our Instagram and our YouTube. So I'll make a video once we get all the details locked down. I'll put it on there for your guys' viewing pleasure. And please, once you do see it, please donate. Not enough people donate in this day and age, and I know a lot of people have money, a lot of people don't. Understand if you don't have money right now. It's a pretty hard, struggling time for some people. But if you have money, if you have extra bucks, put them in there. Make someone's life better that's less fortunate than you, and get a gift card out of it potentially. And the top prize is a $100 gift card to Amazon. So $100, that's a pretty substantial amount. And then you got a $50 gift card to Best Buy. And then third place, you got a $30 gift card to AMC. And then all those guys will also be receiving comic books, guys or gals. And then the other 2 will be mystery bags. The mystery bags of DC, Marvel, Vertigo, whatever comics I got in my collection I don't want, because I have a whole bunch of them willing to give away for a good cause. So after visiting 2015, Marty McFly must repeat his visit to 1955 and prevent disastrous changes to 1985 without interfering with his first trip in the second part of my Back to the Future series in Back to the Future Part 2. Part 2 if you're not French. After returning to his own time, albeit with his actions in 1955, having altered his family's fortunes for the better, as I explained in my first part, Marty McFly, played by Michael J. Fox, is ready to take his girlfriend, Jennifer Parker, played by Elizabeth Shrew, for a ride in his Toyota truck. So he finally gets that Toyota Tacoma, 1985 style, with all the lights, all the fixings, and it's lifted and it's black. It's actually a really nice looking truck. I mean, I talk a lot of shit on smaller Toyotas, but it's actually super nice. So, life's great. He's ready to go to the lake. He's got the girl, he's got the truck, his family's doing great. Everything's perfect. And just out of nowhere, a bunch of sonic blasts and booms, and it's loud, and the DeLorean time machine rolls out and comes right to the driveway, and Doc Brown pops out all crazy and emerges, demanding the 2 get in the time machine and come with him to the future. So he's just coming back from the future. Haha, back in time. Back to the future. And he talks to them and he's like, hey, you gotta come back. So they're like, Doc, no, I got my truck. I'm going to the lake. Doc, I can't go to the future right now. And he said, it's not about you. He's like, what's wrong? Like this, we're getting a divorce, or we beating each other up. Like, what's going on? He's like, it's not about you, Marty. It's about your son. It's about your kids. So eventually, Doc talks him into it. Like, hey, we got to go back. We got to fix this. Which, honestly, really doesn't make that much sense. Going to the future to fix an issue. Like, you just stay in their present time, and then Doc could give them the necessary guidelines to not, ruin the future. But, they do visit that in the first one and say, hey, we can't mess with time. Any repercussion, any action we had back in 1955 is going to have severe repercussions in 1985. The butterfly effect, essentially. If you step on a cockroach, Hitler might become president, essentially, stuff like that. But if you're changing your current timeline in the present and altering the future, you're only destroying parts of the future. You're only altering the future. So this implication that they have to go back to the future and change this and then go back to 1985 is a little ridiculous, I think, from a scientific side of view or scientific point of view. But I will say that it does make for an interesting story as the first one. Some plot holes, but it makes for a good story, right? So we want the good story over the practicality of things. That's fine. I'll take it. So Time Machine sends Doc, Marty, Jennifer to October of 2015. So that's right. Every single Back to the Future takes place in the past. Every single one. There's only 3, but every single one takes place in the past. The events of Back to the Future are all in the past as of now. Anyway, they're in 1955, or sorry, not 1955, 2015, sorry. When Jennifer grows too eager to know what happened to her and Marty, Doc uses a sleep-inducing alpha rhythm generator to put her to sleep and keep her from asking questions. So, I'll just say this right off the bat. And there's a couple things I have to talk about because I forgot a couple things in the first part. But anyway, I'll just say this. They use this sleep-inducing device on Jennifer. And Jennifer is basically treated like a ragdoll throughout this entire movie. I swear to God, she's asleep 90% of this movie. So she's asleep in the future. They go back to 1985. She's asleep in 1985. They throw her on the porch. They just leave her around like a dog. And they're like, okay, we're going to alter this current timeline and she's going to be fine. Like, the assumption that she'll be fine really is quite funny. But Jennifer's basically a ragdoll in this entire movie. So if you've seen Annabelle, picture an Annabelle movie in a wacky 1980s future, but nothing gets haunted. And Jennifer is Annabelle, but Annabelle's also a teenage girl. So it's essentially what happened. So Doc gives them the clothes in 2015, or 2015 as they thought it would be in 1989. And it's some weird, crazy clothes. They look really, really funny and wacky. And something out of a early Beast Boys video or something like that. But the hat's super shiny. Everything in Back to the Future 2 is pretty damn shiny. Like, at least in the first hour and half hour of the movie. When they're in 2015, everything is super shiny. He has a super shiny hat. He has this weird jacket that alters the size and the shape, and it dries itself. And also cool invention. It dries itself. You press the little button and it dries it. Falls into this water and presses the button, and then his jacket's dry and it dries his hat and his hair, and then everything, his shirt, everything. It's pretty cool. A couple cool inventions in this one. We'll talk about those. So Doc explains to Marty that on this day, Marty's son, Marty McFly Jr., or Marty Jr., gets talked into doing some illegal activity by Griff Tannen. So Griff is also Biff. Thomas Wilson plays Griff and Biff and Old Biff and Grandpa Biff. It's all Thomas Wilson. Also pretty cool multi character acting in this movie. There's a bunch of that. And it's pretty early on because you see like Nutty the Professor and Mike Myers in Austin Powers. He's playing multiple roles, and I feel like Back to the Future is one of those that pioneered that, at least, because Thomas Wilson does a great job in this one. Once again, even more so in this one, and Michael J. Fox again in this one does a very, very good job. Anyway, we're greeted by Griff, which Griff is like Biff, essentially, from 1955 Biff, but in 2015 Griff is a Mad Max looking, essentially goth jock, I guess you could say. And Griff he's an asshole. That's what Griff is. And his gang, so his gang of misfits, and Biff always has a gang of rejects. The same kind of concept here. But Marty's supposed to take his son's place and refuse to go with the scheme. So Marty refused to go. So the old Marty, Marty from 1985 is in there, and then they basically beat up for an extended amount of time. They beat up Marty Jr. and then throw Marty Jr. over the bar, and then Marty from 1985 comes out of the bar, slowly rises from the bar, and he basically like death glares Griff, and Griff's like, oh, he pushes Griff out of the way. He's like, oh, when did you become the physical type? It's not like McFly to do that. Any McFly, really, you can judge by the story that Marty's really the only McFly that, stands up for himself and is fine with altercations, because the other McFlys aren't. The other McFlys are kind of, little weasels, and they don't do anything. But you see Marty, and he pushes him. He's like, when did you become a physical type? And he walks away. He's like, the answer is no, I'm not doing it. He walks away, and then, Griff calls him a chicken, which is another recurring element of Back to the Future. Everybody calls Marty a chicken. Marty loses his shit every single time. If you call Marty a chicken, he will burn down your house and murder your entire family. That's how Marty operates. Do not call Marty a chicken. Marty goes to dark places when you call him a chicken. People die. You call Marty McFly chicken. That's what happens. Anyway. So he refuses to go along with it. He's like, no. The answer is no. Calls him a chicken. He turns around. So Griff pulls out a baseball bat, tries to knock him out, and then misses. And then Marty goes outside in Hill Valley, the town square, and grabs the hoverboard, which is also a very, very cool invention for this movie. One of the cool ones. Hoverboard's basically a skateboard with no wheels on the bottom, so it levitates off the ground about 6 to 8 inches, or maybe a foot. But essentially, a skateboard, and it levitates you. So this whole scene's kind of preposterous. It reminds me of early 90s Nickelodeon and Disney. They kind of have the same kind of elements here. And you were just really trickled out of the 80s, and you got more and more zany and more goofy, and the antagonist did more and more crazy stuff. But yeah, so Marty goes out there and he gets the hoverboard, and Griff follows him out. And then Marty goes across on the hoverboard. He goes across the City Hall town pool, and he gets about halfway through it. So they put a massive pool where Hill Valley, the town square, was, where it used to be. And he gets about halfway through, and then the hoverboard stops. The hoverboard doesn't work on water, which one of the kids says. Hoverboards don't work on water, like all this shit. Zany voice, So Griff pulls out a suitcase, which I really, really thought was a gun. When I first saw this movie, I'm like, Griff is going to pull out a 50 cal and just dome Marty McFly, and then Marty McFly is going to die, and that's going to be the end of Back to the Future. But he didn't. He pulls out another hoverboard, this one much bigger than the hoverboard that Marty has, called a pit bull. Pit bull is basically a wakeboard if you're into water sports, same kind of thing. So pit bull, and then they attach to it his cronies. So 3 guys attached to it. They have these little cables, and also a kind of cool invention. I don't know the practicality of it at all. I don't even know why they hook on, honestly. Like, I don't know why. I guess so they can go on the water too, but there's no way to support their weight. There's absolutely no way. Anyway, as I was saying, they attach to it, so they have 3 guys on the back, and then Griff is in the front and it has these little propellant engines on the bottom, and it goes across the water, and he pulls out his bat, and he says, "Batter up," in his really over the top ridiculous Griff voice. Griff is just Biff, like, if Biff was like the Disney villain, Griff is like the Nickelodeon villain at 1 a.m. Like, that's essentially what Griff is. Griff can't even speak that well. In the series, Griff is just yelling absurdities and has a very manic way about him, But pulls out the bat, tries to hit Marty. Marty jumps in the pool, and then Griff crashes into the town hall, destroying all the glass, and gets arrested. It's on USA Today and all this other stuff. The paper that Marty has that shows his son getting arrested for illegal activity now changes. The headline transforms into Griff destroying the city hall and getting charged for it. So his son does not go to jail. Griff then takes the place of his son, changing future events, and their entire mission is successful. I will say there's a couple cool inventions that I hadn't mentioned yet. There's a Skyway, I believe they call it. I think it's Skyway. Anyway, the Skyway, because all the cars are flying now. So they have a Skyway that goes around the city and then down, and they have regular cars that drive on the pavement just like we do today. They also have drones. They have a lot of drones, which I think the drones in Back to the Future 2 are more prevalent than they are in today's society, which is pretty crazy. And it's something that is practical and that we have and that we use every day. A lot of us use every day in this country. So knowing that we would have these drones and these things back in the 80s was actually pretty cool. They had very, very early technology for drones in the 80s and earlier than that even. But they have these little drones with, like, for instance, the USA Today camera comes down, it's just a drone. There's no one operating it. It records everything. I think we're going to that very, very soon in the future here. I would say, within the next 10, 20 years, we're going to have no cameramen. They're just going to be floating drones, video recording everything. So that one was cool. There's, the Cubs won the World Series on the thing, and the Cubs actually won the World Series. I think it was in 14 or 15. So that part was actually pretty cool. And it came true, which is absolutely insane. But there's that one. There's the Nike shoes, which I need to buy those Nike shoes. They're so cool. They're super expensive. They actually made it for charity. Michael J. Fox went to Nike and made the shoe from Back to the Future for charity. If you're bored, look it up on YouTube. But puts on the shoe and he presses a button and it tightens down. There's 2 straps, like Velcro kind of, but presses a button on each side of the shoe, like each side of each shoe, and then it tightens down. So that one was really cool. Just little inventions like that are pretty sweet in the second one. So speaking of the Cubs, he sees on the screen the Cubs won the World Series, and there's a couple other screens. There's like Jaws 21, which did not come to fruition. But he talks to this old man. The old man says, who would have thought the Cubs won the World Series? Like, I wish I could just go back in time and put some money on the Cubbies. And Marty's like, oh shit, like, wow, go back in time, put some money on the Cubs, make a bunch of money. Like, in his head, he's thinking through all this stuff. So he goes to this antique store trying to find an almanac. And he gets an almanac. It's 1950 through 2000. So it has all the horse racing, it has all the soccer, it has all the football, college, professional, fighting, boxing, all that stuff for the years, for 50 years of sports history and statistics on this thing. And he buys it, and he goes to link up with Doc, and Doc, he drops it in front of Doc, and they're very oblivious in this movie, and I know it's a kids movie, and it's even worse than the first one. Like, the first one's pretty bad. There's certain things about the first one that are really, really bad. Like, he would have got caught 8,000 times. The second one, it's even more so. And this scene in the second one, it's pretty bad. Now, I forgot to mention Old Biff. So Old Biff is also in this movie in the beginning, but so they have the DeLorean, it's the DeLorean. Okay, there's there's no way multiple people would not have seen that in 1985, travel back in time or into the future, and not know. So, granted, it's 30 years into the future, so a lot of people would have forgot, or not mentioned it, or whatever the fuck, or not recorded it, etc. But they park it right downtown, like right off the main street there in the town square, and Biff is obviously watching them the entire time. He's like, Biff at this point in time, if you're going by the storyline, he's probably 75, 80 years old. So he's losing it a little bit. He's a little slow. He's not remembering how he used to. He's got some memory loss. You can tell he's basically crippled. He moves around with a cane, etc. He's a very old guy, had a rough life. And Biff sees Biff sees the Doc and Marty in the car, the DeLorean. He's like, oh shit, I haven't seen the DeLorean since 1985. And then he's like, he looks and he sees Marty. Which I know, he kind of knows this. I think he knows who Doc Brown is at that point, but he doesn't exactly know. So he knows Marty. So Marty is also dressed up exactly like Marty Jr. So he sees Marty Jr. basically. Marty dressed up as Marty Jr. and then he sees Marty Jr. to the left. So he scans back, he sees Marty Jr. and then he sees Marty dressed as Marty Jr. So he's like, oh shit, why is there two Martys? And then he sees the DeLorean. He's like, oh shit, okay. So he's trying to piece it together. And then Marty Doc go back and he drops the almanac and Doc sees it and he said, I didn't invent the time machine for financial gain, which is a very, very important message for this movie. Inventions should not be for financial gain. They should be for bettering society, bettering humanity through your invention or your research, not for financial gain. But he says that, and then he says, I'm taking this and I'm putting it in the trash. And he throws the almanac away. And then at this point, they also see Jennifer, homegirl. She's passed out because Doc Brown gave her, chloroform or whatever he had. And she's passed out by the dumpster, and they just left her there. It's just, why did they leave her there? Such a plot hole. But, so she's over there by the dumpster, just racked out. They caught two female cops, because it's future, and cops have to be female in the future. Find her, and basically they scan her. I wish I could remember. I believe it's her eye. I think it's a retina scan, which is also a familiar concept from those of you that listen to my podcast. Minority Report is very prevalent on scanning your retina when you walk around and when you go through different doors. They scan your retina and they know your identity. This one is a familiar concept, and they scan her scan her eyes, her retinas, and they read her name, and it's Jennifer McFly, because she's married in the future, and it says 44, I think. I'm pretty sure it's 44. Anyway, say, oh, she's 44. She had some great faceless, which come on, I gotta say, this girl's like 15. Like, come on. Even now you can't. We're 5 years past the time period this movie's supposed to take place, and you still couldn't do that. You look like a fish. Like, if you got that much plastic surgery and you look like you're 16 and you're supposed to be 45 or 44, like, you're looking like a sardine. Sorry, honey. Like, your skin, it's going to be glistening in the moonlight. Like, there's no way. There's no way you look that young. Anyway, cops, not all cops are that stupid. Come on, guys. Anyway, they take her, they look at her address, they take her back home, where she's on the couch, and then like no one's home when she gets there, and she wakes up and she wakes up to a screen, which is projected onto a window. So it comes down over the window. It's projected on there, and I believe they say the date and a couple of different clues, and she's like, "Oh, I'm in the future." You know, she's freaking out. Jennifer also loves to freak out and faint and pass out, and she's super over the top in this movie as well. But you know, she's in the future and she freaks out, and she sees a picture of her wedding, and she's like, "Oh, I get married in the chapel of love," and she starts freaking out even more. So her her daughter is upstairs, and her daughter's yelling down, and then Jennifer hides in one of the closets away from her family because she's having a nervous breakdown. I did forget one little scene. Biff, old man Biff, in 2015 was behind them when they were talking about the almanac, and he didn't invent the time machine for financial gain and all that stuff. So Biff comes out of the woodwork, and he says, "Oh, old man Brown invented a time machine." And he's ready. He's ready to make that money and go back in time and stuff like that. He grabs the almanac, and then we see him later. Meanwhile, Jennifer's in the future house, and Doc Brown and Marty look at the address and go about a block away and park, on the street once again. It's nighttime now in the movie, but in the most obvious places. Most obvious, like why they have to drive the time? I don't know. They don't even. There's one scene they leave the time machine open, and it's coming up. They leave the door open, like you can't make it up. So another cool invention over here. Marty sees, once they land by his house, future Marty's house, they see a dog, and he's walked by a collar. So a little drone collar walking the dog around, which something that we should have now that we don't, stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Which if you're too lazy to walk your dog, like you can go to hell. Like, go walk your dog. If you have a dog, go walk your dog. Come on. But I'm seeing like people with disabilities, or maybe it's a service dog, or you're blind and you don't want to be out in public walking your dog all the time. It'd be cool just to have a little collar or a little drone, and then like attach the dog to the drone, and then you just press something, and then the dog goes for a walk. Because the dogs love to be outside. They need physical activity just like we do, and it would be a very, very nice invention, especially for nowadays. Most inventions in the house, throughout the house, are the scene we have today. So they might not have had it in the 80s, or they're just working on it, but there's one scene the kid sits down and he has 6 channels going at the same time. He sits down on this big screen, and on channel blah 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 blah, weather channel, and something else, and all the channels pop up at the same time, and they're all going at the same time. So we have stuff like that nowadays. The big screens and the video calls and the chats and the eyewear that notifies you about certain things. We have all of that. We have, they have a button they press, and then fruit comes out of the ceiling, which there's a couple things like that. Rich people have that. There's, so Grandpa George comes over, and Grandma Lorraine from the first one come over, and they have this little package. It's like a little ramen. So if you eat top ramen, or you've ever had top ramen, which I'm sure most of you have, our little sauce packet, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it's a little tin foil packet, and it has Pizza Hut on it, which is also a pretty cool invention. She takes this out, and she puts it on it's like a pizza pan, like an actual size pizza pan, like a large pizza. And the pizza that comes out of the sauce, basically the sauce packet, is this little cylinder thing. Like it's a miniaturized pizza. Like if you ever had those like gummy pizzas, like the little like 1-inch diameter pizza candy. It's just like that. So she puts on the pan, throws in this hydrator is what they're called, presses a button, hydrate level 4, and then waits about 20 seconds, and this thing's done. Like, it comes out, it's on this pan, she opens the door, and then it's completely done. Like, it's a fresh pizza. It's all the way done. So that invention is actually pretty cool. Like, enhancing food. I don't know. It's a cool invention. Like, it's not practical at all. You can make matter of nothing, but pretty cool invention. Not super integral to the story. Marty McFly takes a video chat phone call from his boss, first a work associate, and then he gets some illegal activity. He gets an illegal activity once again for calling him chicken. He starts doing this illegal activity. His boss is monitoring his video chat and terminates him, so he's fired. He gets all these faxes, which we still fax today, so I'm not discounting the fact that they faxed in this movie, because we still do it, but it's not the most prevalent thing, especially termination, and all it says is you're fired on the fax. Then Marty says it's a joke, which I would have believed it was a joke if I read it, because all it says is you're fired. There's no document, there's no explanation, there's nothing like that, and especially him being his age, he should have some kind of work compensation explaining why he got fired, or a severance package or something of that nature. But it just says you're fired in block letters, and he's terminated. So amongst all this craziness is going on, so Doc finds out where Jennifer's hiding in this window and explains to her, she's trying to escape, but she couldn't get out of the door because she's too retarded, obviously. She couldn't open the door. Sorry, didn't mean to say retarded, but she couldn't open the door, and there's no doorknob. And she's like, how do I open the door? And Doc says, just put your thumb to the pad and the door opens, which is all over the place nowadays. There's many automatic door systems where you can just press a button and the door will slide open. So she manages to make her way to the door, only to encounter her old self, and they both faint in the same exact fashion, which I thought was a cool touch. If you're going to find your old self or your younger self, you're probably going to do most of the things the same way, especially faint or freak out. A lot of people don't change their tendencies that drastically. So her to see her older self, and the older self to see her younger self, having them faint the same way, which was a nice touch, and it was her playing both roles. So back and forth, scene to scene. So he finds Marty nearby. Doc gets him to help carry Jennifer back to the DeLorean, which has been returned by old Biff. So while all this crazy, zany 1980s future shit's going on, Biff takes the DeLorean back to 1955. So spoiler alert. Old man Biff takes the almanac back to 1955 Biff and explains that he will get rich and all this stuff. So because they basically, I never followed this line of logic, but essentially Doc says when they get back to 1985 he's going to destroy the time machine to prevent any further damage to the space-time continuum. Which, if that was the case, he wouldn't have went to the future in 2015 to stop whatever didn't happen and alter future events when he didn't have to. That's a pretty significant plot hole in my opinion in this movie, but it is a movie. So remember that it is a movie. But essentially, they've already altered so many timelines and changed so many events that destroying the time machine isn't exactly gonna fix anything. But it does, destroy any chance that they might have, or eliminate any chance that they might have of altering the space-time continuum in the future or past. Also, there's 2 different time machines, so that's cool too. We'll get into that in a minute. Yeah, Back to the Future. But once everybody is in the car, Doc sets the time circuits for October 26, 1985, and they land near Jennifer's home. Doc claims, though, this is another funny part with ragdoll Jennifer because she passed out again. Well, the first time it was induced, and the second time she passed out. And now they take her and they put her on the porch, and she's passed out. And they leave her on the porch. Like, what? Never, like, come on. Like, in the middle of the night, you're going to leave a teenage girl on a swing on the porch. In the middle of Hill Valley, sorry. Like, I don't know what's happening in this movie. I mean, I understand it's her house, but like, come on. It's like 9 or 10 at night, and you're just gonna leave a teenager on the swing by herself. Okay. Good job, Doc. Good job, Doc. You can see why Doc's single, because he does shit like that. Doc claims they'll leave her on the family's fortune. Okay. So as they leave, Marty questions when Jennifer's parents put bars in the front window. So also that fact, because Marty knows it's not her house. If they're back in the true 1985, why would they put a ton of bars? And what time did they have to put all that on there? Because they're only gone about a day. And they get back and there's bars all over the windows. Like, that should have been a red flag right there. So I'll kind of skip through the next couple scenes. There's not really anything too important. Essentially, Hill Valley has turned into Detroit. But sorry, from Detroit, I'm not trying to offend you, but Hill Valley is really, really basically hell when they go back. Marty goes to his house, and some other family's living there, and he almost dies, getting beaten by this black dude. He walks down the street, he sees Mr. Strickland. Mr. Strickland gets in a full-on firefight. Also, why? He's trying to kill people. I understand, like, it's Strickland, but, like, okay. You're just doing drive-bys, so it's basically the ghetto. I don't know. Kind of a weird subplot there. But, anyway, he goes into Hill Valley, and Hill Valley's basically a Motley Crue music video. They're just blasting 80s metal, and everyone's driving a Harley, and people are throwing chains everywhere, and shit's on fire, and the cop cars are dismantled, and it's Hill Valley's getting a little cray-cray. It's getting a little cray-cray in Hill Valley. But Marty soon goes to Biff Tower, which it's I don't want to use the word homage. I know plenty of you hate Trump, so I'm trying to tiptoe my way through this. But anyway, Biff's character is based off Trump, if those of you that don't know, in Back to the Future 2. So he has a huge tower. He's very crude in his mannerisms. He's essentially the jock that got rich. That's what happened. Whereas Elon Musk would be the cool guy that got rich or struck gold. Biff Tannen in Back to the Future 2 is the Trump version. He's the entitled kid that got rich. The kid everybody loves to hate because he's rich. That kind of rich. So he's in the little lobby in Biff Tower, and Biff's cronies knock him out, and they take him upstairs. And he's awoken by his mom. Another weird plot. So he's woken up to his mom that says, you're safe and sound on the 27th floor. And he says, 27th floor? And he freaks out. But, so paraphrasing this next couple scenes, Biff is essentially an asshole, and he kills George McFly. So George McFly is now dead in this alternate reality, and Biff kills him. So he learns... Marty goes to his grave and finds Doc, and Doc kind of explains what happened. There's an alternate reality because Biff got rich off old Biff from the future when he traveled back in time. Biff has the almanac, and he's made all this money off of horse racing and football and basketball and all these different sports events that he's bet on, which Biff is now controlling Hill Valley. So the Doc explains that they must now go back to 1955, to stop old man Biff from giving young Biff, 1955 Biff, the almanac, which makes him super rich, and kills George and makes Lorraine marry him, like forcibly marry, which is, essentially Biff owns all the cops and all the muscle in the town, and etc. So by then Marty and Doc both know that Biff did this, and so they find the bag that the almanac came in, and so Marty then goes back to the casino, the tower, and confronts Biff, like, why'd you do it? I know that you got this old almanac, and old Biff essentially told 1955 Biff that some crazy scientist or some little boy would try and get secrets out of him and get the almanac from him. So he pulls a gun and he tries to kill Marty, at which point they go up to the roof and he evades all his cronies, and then Biff finds him on the rooftop and tries to kill him like he killed his old man with the same gun, which is pretty dark for Biff. Power corrupts a lot of people, but I don't think Biff isn't really truly evil until this one. In the first one, he's just he's just a kid, he's kind of a dick. But this one, he fully becomes the antagonist and evil Biff. So the flying DeLorean then catches Marty, and Marty says, guess what? You're never going to guess what's going to happen or what we have to do. And then Marty says, guess what, Doc? We got to go back to 1955. And Doc says, oh shit, I thought, Doc already knew. So it starts an entire cat and mouse game. I'm running out of time here, I'm sorry. I'm trying to wrap this up. Starts this entire cat and mouse game between Biff, 1955 Biff, and Marty from 1985, which there's also two Martys from 1985 now in 1955, and there's two Docs. There's the Doc from 1955, the Doc from 1985 there, and then there's the Marty from 1985 from the first one, and there's the Marty from 1985 from the second one. So they go into great lengths to not find themselves or not encounter their past selves, because it could disrupt the space-time continuum once again. So this whole third act is basically a rehashing of what we went through in the first movie, but Marty from Back to the Future 2, I'll just call him that, I'll make it easier. Marty from Back to the Future 2 is now trying to get the almanac and destroy it, whereas Biff from 1955 is still going through all the events that took place in Back to the Future 1. So you have a really intense crossover of Back to the Future 1 and 2 here. Marty eventually gets the almanac and destroys it. At which point, Doc and Marty try to leave, go back to 1985, but the Doc that was with him, that went to 2015 with him, his DeLorean gets struck by lightning, and it sends him back to 1885. So Marty's stuck there in the rain. It's a pretty cool scene, and this guy from Western Union pops up. He gives him a letter. Doc says he's been living happily in 1985 and doing whatnot for the last 6 months. So all the shit that Doc's alive, he's just in 1885 in the Old West. At which point Marty rushes back to 1955 Doc and talks to him about what happened, and that's basically the third Back to the Future. I will not be doing a third part to this series anytime soon. I do plan on doing a third part eventually, but I wanted to overlap because there's so many similarities between the first Back to the Future and the second. I want to do a 2-part series here, so. But we got our promotions. The Degenerate Zach and His Unruly Adventures on Kickstarter is almost funded. If you haven't checked it out, please go check it out. Link in the description below. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube or Spotify and get Cryogenically Frozen. I hope everybody has a great next couple of weeks. Remember to vote on the next Science Fiction Sunday. It will be on Sunday this week, not Marty McFly Monday like today, but Science Fiction Sunday for next week's episode. Everybody have a good rest of your April 2020. I know it's been rough on some of you. I wish you all the best of luck. Remember to enjoy the time with your families and keep doing you and keep being great. great people, members of society out there. I'll talk to you guys.
I saved a life. My own. Am I a hero? I really can't say, but yes.